Well, hello. We are now into February. So, a nice Sunday today. Nice temperature for the time of year, so that's very good. So, today I'm going to be discussing the subject of should you start a YouTube channel? So, this is a big subject, and I'm going to relate mostly what I'm speaking about to a gardening channel, because this is indeed a gardening channel. So, the question, should you start a YouTube channel? Now, there are many things to consider regarding this, and I'm going to go about and talk about a few issues. But I think if there's a slight inkling in your mind that you should and you really would like to, then I think you should give it a go, okay? Because a lot of people, they don't necessarily believe that they have got much to offer that other people haven't already offered. Now, in terms of YouTube and a subject such as gardening, you may have just that little bit of knowledge that no one else has got, or many other people haven't got. Maybe a few people have got it, but maybe it's not accessible because it's not in a book, not on YouTube or whatever. But you might have just something that somebody needs to further themselves in whatever region, whatever avenue, in regards to gardening. Maybe you just know something that thrives in a particular soil type you have, in a particular location, in a particular climate. Maybe you know how to create something, a particularly good growing medium that works for a particular plant, and you making that video could help people immensely, with furthering their own gain or whatever in that particular area. Now, it's quite easy to go onto YouTube and look at other people's channels and go, I'll never be as good as them. He's got a bigger garden than me. He's got more time than me. Her garden is not as windy as mine. However you want to look at it, you can always look around and go, that person's better, that person knows more, that person's got more. It's a very easy thing to do. And what is that saying? Roosevelt said, many people have said it before, it's not a phrase I've made up, he said it, comparison is the theft of joy. Very easy to just look around and go, he's got a better car than me, he's got nicer trainers than me, and the same is true in more or less any aspect of life. But that's not relevant to you, okay? Goodness gracious, use other people's achievements as a form of encouragement, as a form of inspiration, but their achievements might not apply to you in any way, or indeed only a very few ways, Excuse me a minute. So this has all got to be considered. So one thing that always, to a degree, to me, was a technical issue with regards to YouTube was the fact that my computer skills, they're a bit better now. My mobile phone skills, they're a little bit better now. But when I first started YouTube, my computer skills were absolutely terrible. I mean, they still are. I find, kids know a lot more about mobile phones and computers than I do. Okay, I've learned how to do a little bit of editing on Windows Movie Maker or whatever it is, and a little app I've got on this phone for editing. But, it took me ages to get my head around either of those, and a lot of swearing and all that at the screens and everything, because to me it really doesn't come natural. So when I first started YouTube, and indeed for quite a few years, all I did was filmed videos and bombed them up straight onto YouTube, uploaded them. You've got to think about all this sort of stuff. You don't necessarily have to be a technical whiz kid to do this, okay? And, you might think, well, I'm just going to get my camera, film it around, and away you go. And then upload a video, and then let the chips fall where they may, and see where you go. There's so many things that, you can look at. Now, another issue is the time issue. So you might think, I haven't got much time to do YouTube, and again, the same thing can apply. So if you go looking on YouTube at someone who's got a beautifully, lovely edited video, which is professionally almost, or even indeed professional quality, and looks beautiful, and you think, oh blimey, I mean, I've got to go, I've got to film it, I've got to present it, I've got to take it back, edit it, I've got to do all that, and then I've got to upload it rather, and then in the evening I've got to be doing this, that, and no, forget it. You know, that's not where you are. But you might be able to get into a position where you could just, like I did when I first started off, you know, walking around with a camera phone. I mean, I remember few videos I did where I had somebody filming them for me. I borrowed an old camera, it was probably about 9-10 years old then, you know, and the memory cards didn't have much memory on them, but you know, I did it. And again, the same. I remember when I graduated to getting a smartphone, because me being me, I was years behind other people getting a smartphone. I mean, I had this little thing like this, you know. I mean, I'm still a bloke from the old 3310 Nokia days. Do you peeps remember those? The indestructible things that seemed to last for years, and charge that used to last for like a week or two. You know, you got to remember where I'm coming from. So none of that to me was easy, the technical side of it, and it still isn't. But you know, with regards to the state that I was in at the time in terms of means, I remember I thought, I really want to do this. Yeah, I do, because I wanted to just, you know, share my love of gardening with people. So what I did, I remember I went onto Amazon and I typed in cheapest smartphone. That's what I typed in. And this really cool little white smartphone about this big turned up on it. And it was like, yep, I'll buy one of those. And one of my most viewed videos about container grown watermelons, I think about 60 to 70,000 views. I filmed it on that phone, you know, and a lot of people have seen that, and it's like, wow, you know, I can have a go at growing watermelons in the UK or a similar climate, all because, well, I'm not the only one doing it, there's loads of other people, but you understand where I'm coming from, you know, because I filmed that might have, you know, gave a few people permission, if you will, to have a go at growing watermelons in the UK or a similar climate, all because I went round with that little cheapy smartphone, which cost, compared to the cost of a normal smartphone, minimal, and it was a great phone, you know. So, like I always say about people, when they want to get going with stuff, when they want to really have a go, you know, you don't have to, everything doesn't have to be perfect, okay? My videos still aren't edited particularly well. I can't go and budget loads of time to edit videos. It just can't happen, at least not at the moment. You know, I'm sure that if I really, really wanted to, I would, because of course, you know, when there's a will, there's a way, and then you'd end up staying up all night and editing videos, and especially for someone who it doesn't come naturally very easy to, that sort of thing, you know. And one might think, well, I'm not going to bother. But, you know, you could be missing out for yourself, and other people could be missing out on your knowledge, because you might be able to just go around with a simple smartphone, film the video or whatever, and then put it up, and someone might love that. You know, so I think really, if you want to have a go at starting a YouTube channel, you could. Now, all about the niche that you're going for. There's so many different niches, you know, within gardening that you could go for. You know, you've got the allotment channels, you've got like homesteading channels, you've got exotic channels, DIY channels. You know, there is just so many within just gardening. So maybe growing on things like balconies, you know, when people that don't actually have a garden but they've got a balcony, so they grow on the balcony, things like that. You know, about people that grow everything in containers, windowsill gardeners, you know, or maybe you're specific, you've got a specialism in a very small niche, right, that many other people are not doing. Okay, or indeed maybe if loads of other people are doing it, have a go. Maybe you're really good at growing indoors, you know, container grow. Let's say you live in an apartment, a flat, whatever you want to call it. Let's say you live in one room in a house share, but yet in that one room you have got a specialism for growing banana plants, mangoes. You get the idea. Within that room, oranges, papayas, whatever, and you've got your grow lights all set up. You know, and you think, yes, I can do this, because there could be so many people out there that are in that position of, especially nowadays with the way things are and everything, you know what I'm getting at? You know, people that want to have a go at this, they really want to have a go at gardening on any scale, no matter how big or small, but they don't feel they have the means, but maybe you could inspire them to really give this a go. You know, so let's say you've just got a little bit in your garden. See here, look, when my grapevine is here, what do you call it, autumn royal, you know, a little area like that in your room or whatever, where you're growing things under lights or on your windowsill, and you really want to have a go at doing this, I think you should. And if you do it, you know, let me know in the comments down below if you start a new channel, or indeed if you've got a, I mean, my channel's still small anyway, you know, I'm not one of the ones up there with, you know, you got people with hundreds of thousands of subscribers on their gardening channels, you know. But you know, maybe if you've got like a recently started channel or a small channel, you know, let me know, because I'd love to have a look at it, and I'd love to give you a shout out on this channel to just help you along a little bit, because I think that the power of this YouTube thing with regards to gardening, it's immense. It really is. You know, of course, it's not the only avenue. You can go on to, you know, you can watch Gardener's World on TV with Monty Don. You know, great stuff there as well. But you get where I'm coming from. So if you're feeling that you want to have a go at starting a YouTube channel, and particularly gardening, you know, it's a gardening channel at this time of year, you know, February now, March is coming up, and you got to think that generally around this time the traffic to YouTube channels starts to increase. Certainly mine has in the years I've been doing this. It gets heavier in the spring, and it sort of goes down, you know, later in the year, as one would expect. And there are peaks and troughs, of course there are, but you get the idea. So now might be a good time for you to have a good crack at growing stuff, getting it on YouTube, and seeing what you want to do. Because of course a lot of people don't want to be in the frame, you know, in the picture, because maybe they've got maybe they're not that, maybe they're camera shy, maybe they're not that sort of person that wants to be in the frame. And that's fair enough. You don't have to be in the frame, do you? You know, you could even film clips and you could just upload it, couldn't you? And you could put a bit of text on explaining what it is. No one would even have to know who you are. Or you could walk around with the camera, you know, just pointing at things, and they just hear your voice but they don't see you. You know, that could be cool, couldn't it? Because imagine if you did that for like a couple of years or whatever, and you got loads of interest because you were growing some really cool things, and then suddenly a few years later you revealed yourself on camera. Be quite cool and dramatic, wouldn't it? So anyway, give it a go if you want to, and if you've got anything you want to, you know, any small channel you've got or whatever, recently started, or you're going to start a new channel, shout me out down below and I'll give you a link to your channel. There we go. If you like my work, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and please feel free to check me out on Dan_Home Gardens on Instagram if you're interested. I do that because when I make my thumbnail, you see, I'll then pause that, then I'll put the text up for the thumbnail, you see. So I'm learning. See you next time, peeps, and have a good Sunday.